So welcome to the day 8 session of APM with Python. We are going to talk today about the concept of Python modules. We are going to have a look at some of the different Python modules which are available to us, which will help us with data reading or data manipulations. So what we are going to do is we are going to have a look at Excel files, and we will learn how we can parse, that means read XML and JSON files, and we will have a demo of how we can extract information from a database like MySQL. So basically, if you change your underlying database, one of the main things which changes is your connection string. So this is what we are going to cover. So this will facilitate us to understand and manage different aspects of data files and work with them. So I hope working with a text file, a CSV based file is clear to you guys. You feel comfortable with that aspect? The logs part. No, logging is something which we will anyways cover. I'm asking where we read the CSV file as a text file because that's what it is, and where we were able to then basically read it and then split it on a comma. Okay, great. So you both are comfortable. Fine. So now we are going to talk about how we can handle an Excel file, and I give you guys an assignment where I asked you to figure out a module which Samir was able to, uh, that how you can manage with an Excel file. So that was a good thing you have done. So let us understand the Excel file handling. So when we talk about the Excel file, we have to understand that a Excel file is first associated with the file path, which is effectively associated with something called as a workbook. So this is the structure of an Excel file, which generally the modules of programming languages exploit. So the file is associated with something called as a workbook. This is a workbook. The workbook has by default three worksheets available. So sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, you can definitely change their names. So the default names are sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. Each of these worksheets have got some rows and columns. An intersection of a row and a column is a cell, and it is here in the cell where we are going to write the data to or read the data from. Okay. So this is a worksheet which is associated with the workbook. Worksheet contains row and column. Intersection of row and a column creates a cell. Cell is where we read data or write data. Okay. So file is associated with a workbook, which is associated with a worksheet. It has got rows and columns, which create what we call it as a cell. And it is in the cell where we read data from or we write data to. So this is where we have to reach when we are working with an Excel file. So let us have a look at it. One second. Okay. So what module which we are going to use is, we are going to use the module called as XLWT. So XLWT is a module which is available to us in Python, which helps us with writing an Excel sheet. So this is the module page in the PyPI. So this is for writing Excel files. The command which we are going to use is pip install wxwt. So I'll share this command with you guys. Please use it to install. And Marian, you will have to use pip3 instead of pip install. So go ahead and install this module, and then we will see how we can use it to write an Excel file. Please do that. Done? Okay, great. So the first step is we have to import Excel WT. Once we have imported, we created a main function. Okay. Inside the main function, the first thing I did was I got a book. So I say excelwt.workbook, which gives me a book. Then I say sheet. So I say book dot add underscore sheet and I provide the name of my sheet which I want to add. So my book is created, my sheet is added. Now I am going to use for loops for rows and columns to add some data inside my file. So I say for num in range 5, row is equal to sheet1 dot row num. So I get hold of my row, whereas sheet1 is referring to this pie sheet1. Then I say for index in range 5, this is for my columns. I create a data which is value is equal to num into 10. So basically num is going to take values like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So value is 0 into 10, then 1 into 10 and so on and so forth. And I say row dot write index comma value. So what is index? Index is the number of column, that is the name of the ID of the column, and value is the data which I want to write. So value is the data which I want to write, index is where I want to write in the row. Index is where we want to write in the row, and value is the data created which has to be written. So once this for loop iteration is over, we are going to say book.save and we are going to provide the path where my Excel file is available. For my system, I have created a folder called as data sets inside my Python project in which I am creating this Excel file. Then I go ahead and call the main function. So when I run this program, the output is an Excel file which basically fill values like this. The first row will be all zeros, the second row will be all tens, the next row will be all twenties, and so on and so forth. Remember, indexing starts from 0. Do you all understand this program? Yes, you can ask your question, Samir. Excel RD is a package which we will be using that would be for reading. Whereas you can use any other package which is available in PYPI which can help you perform the same things. You just have to remember that when you use another package, your functions associated with that package to perform the same operations will change or might change. For example, getting the handle of the workbook may not be looking the same, or writing to a row cell is not the same. So just be careful on that, and you can use any package. So that's why I think you have used another package to work with Excel file. Yes, definitely we will have to go through the documentation. For example, when I discovered this Excel WT package, I had a look at the documentation which is available so that to understand what type of module it is, what functions are associated with it to perform the operations which I want to do. So for the same operation in Python, there is more than one solution available. You can use either of them. So once we are done with writing the Excel file, let's try to read an Excel file. So to read an Excel file, the package which we are going to use is the Excel RD package. So Excel RD package is the package which we are going to use. The command is going to be pip install Excel RD. And once this module is downloaded, then we can go ahead and start working with it. So let us have a look. So we created here in a function called as open file, and we provide the path to which file we want to open. The first thing we do is we get the book handle. We print the number of worksheets which are available, and we print the sheet names. So this will print the count of sheets, this will print the name of the sheets. Then we want to get the first sheet because that's where our data is. So we say book dot sheet by index. Fetch the sheet by index. You can also fetch the sheet by name, where you can provide the sheet name, that is also allowed, or you can fetch the sheet by index. Then let's say I want to print a particular value. So I say print the sheet row number 3 values. So it will print basically a list of values which we will get printed. Then let us say I want to just work on a cell. So I get my sheet cell and I pass which row and which column I want to fetch the cell information from. Or I can use a for loop to basically iterate through the sheet and print the values associated with different rows and columns. So this is how your program would look like. There is just one sheet available in the workbook. The name of the sheet is Pie Sheet 1. At the index 3, which is actually row number 4, you have all 30s available. So that's your row list. At the zeroth position, you basically have data 0. And this is what you get when you iterate the worksheet, the data which are available. So we have a question that can you use both of these modules in one program? Yes, you can. Definitely you can. So this program basically helps us with reading and writing an Excel file. Do you guys have any questions? Yes, definitely. I'll share these files after the class. You can go ahead and use them and work with them. Any other question? Okay. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So are you guys aware of the concept of databases? Okay, great. So database is basically a collection of tables, whereas in a table is a collection of records. And then you have got different types of DBMSs available, which are database management systems. And nowadays there are basically RDBMSs available, which are relational databases management systems. So all your major databases are all RDBMSs, because what they do is they allow the data inside your database to have relations. How can you define relation between tables in a database? Excellent. So you can use the concept of constraints, you can use the concept of keys to basically facilitate the relationship among different tables in a database. So when we talk about a database, what are the few things which we have to be careful about? The first thing we should know is how we can create a connection string. The connection string is an important artifact which basically helps us give us a database handle using which we can work with the underlying data associated with the database. To create a connection string, we definitely require the path where our DB is hosted, the name of the database which we are trying to connect, credentials to log into the database, username and password. Generally, these information is enough to connect to a database and get the database handle. Once your connection string is created, the next aspect is to create a statement object. The statement object is effectively your query object, okay, where you write your query, for example, a select query. Once your statement object is created, you will have to basically execute your query. And the result of this execution is called as a result set or a record set, which is effectively a 2D array which has got both rows and columns, because that's how the data is stored in a database. So these are the objects which we are going to handle, and any package which allows you to connect to the underlying database will provide you interfaces to these objects so that you can communicate and work with the database. So in my system, I basically have a MySQL database available, and this MySQL database which I have available has got a few of the databases created. The database I am going to use is DemoDB. Inside this database, there is a table available called as student info. The student info table is what I am going to query. So I say select star from student info, and this is the information which is available in my database MySQL. So what is my name of the database? DemoDB. What is the name of my table? Student info. The student info contains around 5 records which has got ID, name and marks. So DemoDB, student info, and there are 5 records in it. So if I have to write down a program which is going to connect to this MySQL database and then run this query and fetch this result set, how will I do it? For this, the module which I use is mysql.connector. So you can have different modules available for different aspects of database handling. For example, to work with Oracle, you will have a different module available. To work with Postgres, you will have a different module available. Similarly, if you want to connect to a SQL server, you will have different modules available. So the module which I am going to use is MySQL connector. This is for the MySQL database. Yes, you can work with SQLite also. So you import this module, then what was the first thing? You have to basically get your database connection string created to get your database handle. So you create the database handle and you say mysql dot connector dot connect, that is the name of the method. You provide the host. The database is located in the same system, so it is localhost. If the DB server was located in another system, you would have to pass the IP address of that system. Then the user credential. Then how would you like the authorization to be done? This is important for MySQL databases, and the name of the database. So these five arguments I pass to create my connection string. Then I get handle of my database. So using the cursor, which is like it's like the handle to your database. You basically execute your query, select star from student info. Once your query is executed, you use the command fetch all to fetch the entire result set and store it in my result. My result is basically a list of tuples which you can iterate and print the information associated with every tuple inside the list. So each record set, each row is effectively stored as a tuple, and then you have got a collection of rows. So you have got a list of tuples which is returned to you as a result set, and when you run this program, this is the information you get. So this is your entire result set which you received. You can see that each row is a tuple. There is a list of rows, and this is after individually iterating each row, we are able to print information in the format we require. Have a look at the program. If you guys have any questions, let me know. This code assumes that the data and login credentials are already set. Well, what this code does is it is basically a code to parse an existing database. So definitely you already have a database available with data inside it. So setting up the database or creating a database and filling the database with records is something which is generally an activity at the database administration level. MySQL connector is here, Samir. So you have to say pip install MySQL dash connector. The line keeps breaking means what? So MySQL is effectively a free database available. If you want to try, you have to basically open mysql.com. In the mysql.com, we will go to downloads and we will go to the MySQL Community Edition. In here, you have available MySQL Community Server. There is a window installer available. You can install it in another operating systems as well. Some of the operating systems come with MySQL. So this is how you can install MySQL on your system. So once you have MySQL available, you go with the installation process, note down the root and password, and then you can use the MySQL commands like creating table, creating database, creating table, etc. etc. Then using the insert command to insert information in the database. Okay, so you can do all that. So this will help you create your database. Do you have DB script for creating DB in MySQL? No, I don't have them. You don't need them. It's very simple. You use the command, say create database, let's say example DB. Then you say use example DB. Then you say create table. Let's say I want to create example tab with some columns. So you can say EID, int, ename, varchar. Okay, sorry, varchar has to have characters. Then you say insert into example tab values. And you can go ahead and do it, okay? For SQLite, I cannot show you right now. SQLite. I have used SQLite like a long time back. But you can Here, it's an excellent link, Marian. You can have a look at it with step-by-step instructions. It will definitely get you working with SQLite database. Okay, so you can try that. Any other question? I have shared the DB code also, which I have written. You guys can refer to the notes. What I think SQLite you can use the same commands. There might be a change here and there for syntaxes, Marian, so you need to refer to the SQLite manual. But generally, SQL commands are pretty similar across databases. So this should work, but in case, just refer to the link which I have shared. It gives you a proper walkthrough. Any other question, anyone? Marian, can you re-log in? I checked the network speed at my end. It is perfectly fine. Try to re-log in, please. Great. So we have seen Excel, we have seen database. So we'll take a short 5-minute break. After that, we are going to talk about how we can parse two types of data formats, XML and JSON. Okay. So we'll first have a look at the structure of these documents, and then we will try to understand how we can read an existing XML file or a JSON file. Okay. So I'll see you guys in next 5 minutes. So at 9 a.m. IST, I'm going to resume the session. See you then. Okay, resuming the session. I hope you guys are back. Resuming the session. I hope you guys have been back. So XML stands for Extended Markup Language. So XML basically helps us with creating with our own tags and providing our own data in there. So whenever we look at an XML document, there are few things we should understand. There is something called as a root node, which can contain child node. A node can have an attribute and can have further child nodes. This is the closing. Every node should close. And the structure can definitely repeat. And then your root node closes. So in here, what is your root node? The root node is books. It contains two child nodes. The book node has got an attribute called as name and two child nodes. So author and year of publishing are the child nodes of book. And then there is something called as an X path, which is the path traversed to reach the node of interest. For example, I can create my X path like this: books, book, author, or I can simply say author. They both will refer to the same author. Okay, if indexing starts from 0, then the same author. So this is something called as an X path, which we can create to traverse the node of interest, or to basically refer to the nodes inside one main node. All this clear to you guys? So if you want to learn more about XML and you want to refresh what you already know, there is this great link, W3 Schools XML. You can browse through it and have a, you know, extensible, not extended. So you can browse through this link and refresh what you know about XML. So let's say we have an XML document which is available to us. What type of package can we use and how can we traverse through it is what we are going to see right now. So let us have a look at the XML document. So here is an XML document available with me. So it has got this root node called as data. The data has got these child nodes called as country. Each country has an attribute name followed by some other child nodes like rank, year, GDPC, neighboring countries. So each neighbor itself is a country. Okay. So you can have more than one neighbor node for a country. So it has got the name of the neighbor and the direction in which the neighbor exists. So this is my data source. An XML file with this structure. Structure is clear? Is the structure clear to all of you? The structure of the XML artifact document? Okay, fair enough. So now we are going to see how we can parse an XML data. So to parse an XML data, the module which we are going to use is called as the element tree. So this is the name of the module, XML tree element tree. It's basically a module which already exists with our Python installation. Okay. So the first thing first we are going to do is we are going to get a handle. So we say tree is equal to et.parse. What is et? It's an alias created for this module. We say et.parse and I provide the path to my XML file. So my XML file is in the same package. And then I say tree.getRoot to basically get the root node. For the root node, I print the root tag and root attribute. The root tag is data. There is no root attribute associated, so it will print only data for us. Then I want to traverse the root and print the child tag and child attribute. So it will basically be traversing the immediate child. The immediate child is country. So this is your root node with no attribute. These are the three countries with the attribute name available. So which are the children in your root node. Now let us say you want to talk to a particular node. So you say rank root 00 dot text. What will this print? This will basically print the rank node data. This will print the year data. This will print the GDPC data for the first child node because your index is 0 and this is changing. Then let us say you want to iterate through the node neighbor with all the neighbor nodes inside the root node. So you say for neighbor in root.iter neighbor, this is the XPath which you give, and then it is going to basically print the neighbor attributes. Similarly, I can access all the country nodes. I will simply say for country in root.findAllCountry. I can get hold of country, rank and name. So the get command basically fetches the value of the name attribute and find command fetches the data associated with the rank node. So get is used for attributes, find is associated for the text associated with the node. That is the difference between get and find. So using this we can learn how to traverse different aspects for this XML document. This is when we are going to talk to an individual node. These are the name and attributes associated with all the countries, neighboring countries, and this is the name and rank associated for all the countries inside the root node. So the different data points inside this Excel file, we have learned how we can use the commands from this elementary module to access the different data points of this XML file. Have a look at this program. If you have any questions, let me know. So we have had a look at the XML file. Now let us have a look at a JSON data file. So what does JSON stands for? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notion. So this is also one of the ways in which data is presented to us. And inside a JSON artifact file, if we try to compare it with the Python collections, an object in JSON is a dictionary in Python. An array in JSON is a list in Python. A string in JSON is a string in Python. An integer is an integer in Python. The Boolean values true and false are true and false in Python, okay? So, this document you can refer to understand when we represent data in JSON, how it is looked at it in Python. So first let us have a look at the JSON file. So this is the JSON file. First name Jane. So this entire thing is called as an object. In Python it will be represented as a dictionary. Last name Doe. This is a array. Hobbies. This is array. It will be represented as a list in Python. This is also an array of dictionary objects or an array of objects. This is an array of objects in Python. So, an array of objects in JSON, which will be represented as a list of dictionary in Python. So this is your JSON file. The module which we are going to use is the JSON module in the PyPI. Which we import and let us work with the JSON file. So we say with open sample data.json, you open the file in the read mode. The first thing you do is you load the JSON file. Then if I want to work with the children node, I will say data, in bracket I will say children and I will say 0. This will basically work with the first children node. So it will basically print information, first name and age. Then if I want to print only the first name or the age, I can refer to this child node and say child first name age. So basically child is your dictionary object and using the first name and age, I can fetch the value associated with these two keys, first name and age. Then to access the array of JSON, I fetch the hobbies and I say for each hobby in hobbies list, print the hobbies. So this is your first list dictionary object, first name and ls. This is just the name values ls and 6, which are the values associated with the key first name and age. Running, skydiving and singing are effectively the list entries, which you can iterate also. So once we understand that the data of the JSON is basically mapped to the collection in Python with the matrix which I have shown, it is easy to read the JSON file and hand available. Okay. So remember this, an object is a dictionary, an array is a list. There is a string object, there are integer numbers, int and float. You have Boolean values, etc. available. Is this all clear? नन्ना तो कहाँ है? एक बार गाड़ी लेके ऊपर आ जा, मुझे नर्सिंग होम जाना है। नहीं ठीक नहीं है, नर्सिंग होम जाके कुछ चीज़ देखनी है, तो गाड़ी लेके ऊपर आ जा, मैं बाहर आ रहा हूँ। Okay, guys, so that's all we are going to talk about today. In our next session, we are going to talk about unit testing in Python, which we will also use when we will start working with APM, which we are going to start from next week onwards. And tomorrow, we are also going to ensure that our system is set up and ready for the APM working. So I'll see you guys tomorrow then. Thank you so much for your time today. Practice the programs which I will share with you and ensure that you all understand the different ways to pass the different artifacts. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye everyone. Bye.